Hey everybody, I want to share a use case that I have seen a handful of times. There are actually about 3 different use cases that I've seen where something like this may be helpful, and that is to track the sign up of a user. And there are 3 different main use cases that I've seen this with customers. One is with affiliate links, being able to track the sign up from a link that someone has shared. The other one is sending an invitation, right? Although Softr does have invitations built in, there may be instances where you want to send an invite manually outside of Softr using some other service. This is something that Softr Workflows, which is coming out later this year, will greatly help with. But there may be other workflows and things that you may want to do outside of Softr in that sense. And so you may want to actually create invites that are sent and stored in your database, and then someone signs up later. The same is true for nominations. That would be kind of the third use case. I've seen a use case where people are nominating others for grants or for awards and those types of things. And you may not always want to count users who are nominated or invited against your user limit in Softr. And so one of the ways that you can do that is you can actually have people create an invite or nominate someone and store it in a separate table inside of your database. And then once the user accepts that invitation or that nomination, then they are added as a user, right? And so I'm going to share kind of how you can do this. Again, you can kind of context switch and change this for your own use case, but it's fairly simple to set up. You can see I've got 2 different use cases here to show you. I have a users table, and then I have an invites/nominations table here, because invites and nominations are kind of the same thing. They just are kind of using, there's an extra element for nominations that I'll kind of go over in a second. So in our users table, of course, we just have an email, a name, and then I've created this is kind of an optional field here, an affiliate code. And I'm just using a record ID, but you could create your own code if you want. The user, we're going to be looking at this affiliate use case first, and then we'll look at the other 2. But you can use really any code that you want. You can even use a record ID or some sort of generated code if you're using some other data source like HubSpot or SmartSuite or Google Sheets, right? You can have these codes created in some way. And once we've got that affiliate code stored in a column or a field, I'm just using an Airtable. You can also do this in Softr databases, a formula field to create a link that is specific and unique to this particular user, right? And so many times on YouTube, you've seen this, right, where a person will say, hey, use my link to sign up, right? You click on that link, it sends you to a sign up page, and then in the back end, they're tracking whose link that is that you use to sign up to their service. And you can kind of do a similar thing here. And what we're doing is we're creating a link where this is the actual published URL of my app here, this signuptracking.softr.app/signup. That's the sign up page for my app. Yours may be called something different, or it may be a different URL. I've put a question mark here to tell the link that there are some parameters that we're going to attach to the end of that URL. And then I've just named a parameter here called invite, but you could equally call this something else, right? You could call this code, you could call this ID, right? Whatever the case is, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to call it invite though. Invite equals, and I'm basically telling it that the invite code is this record ID, right? And you could either, in Airtable, for example, you could use record ID here, or I could also equally just type in this affiliate code field, because it's the same thing. So we've got our unique sign up link that is for John. Maybe John's an ambassador or an affiliate or something like that, right? And he has his own sign up link that he can share with other people. And then we have fields to the right of this that is tracking who a user signed up via, right? So if Susan accepted, signed up via John's link, John would then appear here as the person that Susan signed up through. And because we actually have a dynamic relationship here between who they signed up and the affiliate users that actually signed up here, let me just refresh this really quick. You'll be able to see that now Susan appears here in the connected field, right? This is a linked record field to users. So this table is technically linking to itself. And so we have this other field here as well, the kind of reciprocal field of that, to tell us like, hey, this Susan signed up via John, and John is responsible for getting Susan signed up, right? And so the same thing can happen in your Softr app, and we're going to use this code to do that. So whenever someone goes to your sign up page, I'm just going to go to the sign up utility page that I have set up in Softr. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a hidden field here. And the hidden field is just a field that the end user doesn't have to fill out. It's something that's passed as a part of the form that the user doesn't see. And there's a lot of different things that you can pass here. But one of the things that I'm going to pass is the signed up via. We're just going to pass a URL parameter, right? Because when the user lands on this sign up page, we're going to have that invite equals and then that code. And so I'm going to tell Softr, this Softr sign up form, to look at that URL parameter. And it's asking me for the URL parameter's key, which in this case is invite, right? Because I made invite equals. And whatever the value of that parameter is, Softr is going to take that record ID and plug it into that value, right? And this does work best with record IDs because then you don't have to do the matching aspect there. But as long as it's a shared value, you can typically do it. I always use record IDs because it's just so simple and straightforward. So I'll go ahead and add that. So now whenever a user signs up, it will track that they are being, that when they signed up, they actually used a link and are pulling it from. So now that we've got it published, I'm just going to click on this sign up link here. We will open this up. I am going to send this to my own, or sign up as myself, my own email here. You can see up in this URL bar here that we have sign up and then equals, invite equals, and then this record ID here. And it's sent me a verification code. Let me go ahead and enter that really quick. 039 HD7. Oops. 039 HD7. I'll go ahead and put in my name here, and we'll just create a password. Sure, looks good. I'll go ahead and sign up here. And you'll notice that as I signed up to this, if I go back to Softr Studio and look at to here, you'll see that it has automatically paired Patrick, this new user, Patrick, and it has connected my new user record with the person who signed up, or who signed me up, or whose link I used to sign up. So that is the kind of core use case here. That's for doing affiliates. Invites and nominations are very, very similar, right? Let me actually switch to this other. There are some actually less things involved in the users table, but more things involved in the invites and nominations table. So let's say that someone inside the app created a nomination or an invite, right? They wanted to send an invite to a friend, or they wanted to nominate a friend for an award or something, right? These people, rather than just adding them as users, they may or may not accept that invite or that nomination, right? And so you don't want to count them until they've actually signed up as a user. And so one of the things that you can do is you can do a very similar thing. You see I have an invite ID here. This is just the record ID here. I'm also generating a sign up link, a unique sign up link for this person. And I have an accepting user and a created by. And what essentially is going to happen is when they, much like the affiliate link, is instead of users creating or accepting this link, we're going to have people basically clicking on this link for this invite. Maybe the person is sharing this invite with the other person. When they click on this, this will actually it'll kind of save this code as a part of their sign up as well. And this code is related to a nomination this time instead of an affiliate user, right? So they're still signing up. We're still copying the code and submitting it as a hidden field and all of that, except now in the users table over here, you can see I have a list of the accepted invites or nominations, right? So if I were to join and accept an invitation or a nomination, it would sign me up as a new user, and it would actually tie me directly to that particular invite, right? And you can see if I select like, oh, I accepted the one, the invite that was created to invite Superman, and then I go over here to invites notifications, you can see that now it tells me that, oh, Patrick at Softr.io is the user who accepted this invite or this nomination, right? And this created by is just tracking essentially who created that invite or that nomination, right? So that's kind of the invite piece. The nomination piece adds one kind of extra layer on top of that by providing a status and only creating a user once you approve that nomination, right? So maybe someone, sends an invite and you need to approve it or, put it up for a vote or something like that. This would basically just leave it as pending. We have some automation set up here in Airtable that says, hey, when a new nomination is created, I want you to update that status to pending, letting, whoever its job is to approve that, they need to go in and approve it. And then we're sending an email to the actual the nominee and saying, hey, someone nominated you. Our team is reviewing it and you'll get an email from us when we approve it. And then we have another automation here that says, hey, when that record is approved, we're going to then create a record in the user's collection using the information about that nominee, right? And so this is how you can kind of create users after they've been approved. And then after the user has been created, then you can send them an email saying, hey, someone nominated you and you've been approved, and now you can go here and log in, right? And that's a great way to kind of give them you could send them a magic link here if you wanted to. And so that's a great way to kind of handle these sorts of flows. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. There's many other use cases that you can do for this, but the core crux of this is to have a code that links the user to a user or a user to an invite or a nomination. And then you're just passing that code as a hidden field in the sign up, right? So when the user hits this, you're pulling it from that URL, the parameter in the URL there, and saving it as a part, and then it will create that link on the back end, particularly and especially if you're using things that allow for associations and relationships in your database, like HubSpot, Airtable, Softr databases, Smart Suite, ClickUp, Monday, right? All of these kind of have these relationship fields that allow you to tie things together across tables. And so this is really helpful for creating those types of flows. All right. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Again, that's a use case that I see quite often, but let us know if you have any questions. You can always reach out to Softr support, always in the YouTube comments as well. So let us know how we can help.